Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video, and today we are going to take a look at what would have happened, or rather what should have happened, if Ainz Ooal Gown would have arrived in his human body into the new world, and not as his undead Overlord avatar. But before we're going to do so, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel. And say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's dive into the topic at hand. Now, first of all, the NPCs would be extremely puzzled, and Ainz would be in a complete panic mode, because this would mean an abrupt transition from his old life to his rebirth in his new world. And without his emotional dampener, things would have gone completely haywire. Even the NPCs would be in intense emotions. Though maybe not for the reason you might think. Because all the NPCs, not just those in the Great Tomb, but generally those from Yggdrasil Online, so even the goblins of Enri, instinctively know to whom they owe obedience and loyalty, and whom they must follow, even when someone is disguising themselves. And this is also something that Ainz Ooal Gown found out after having been caught sneaking out in his Dark Knight persona, right at the start of the Overlord series. And that would be the case here as well, although Albedo and the others would still know that Ainz, even in his human form, is Ainz. They would be very puzzled as to why Ainz is suddenly a normal human. So they would probably not assume that Ainz has always been a human, because they know what Ainz Ooal Gown looked like before, back in Yggdrasil Online, because they still retain some memories from their time as mere NPCs in a video game. Instead, they would likely think that Ainz had been cursed or something similar. Ainz's strange behavior would also be attributed to his human form, which means Ainz would still be in control over Nezarec, albeit a bit more hands-off with a bit more honest advice. And shortly thereafter, Ainz would issue also some instructions, just like at the beginning of the canon Overlord story. And finally, when it becomes apparent that the surroundings of Nezarec have also changed simultaneously with Ainz Ooal Gown's body, the NPCs themselves would also come to understand the connection between these two events. Furthermore, Demiurge, Albedo, and the others would put together search parties much earlier, and much stronger ones, to find and punish the perpetrator behind the attack of Ainz's body. And of course, Ainz would have other worries than sitting in front of a mirror or helping Karen. This means that Enri and Nemu would be killed by the Sunlight Scripture, and that Gazev Stronov would die right at the start of this alternative timeline. In the meantime, Ainz would either realize that his combat abilities are now greatly restricted, because many of these spells and abilities that being an undead overlord simply require in order to function no longer work. Or that he's actually just a level 1 human who can't do anything at all in the new world. This, in either case, would mean that the battle against Chaltier would completely fall flat, even if she was to be placed under mind control again, which again is unlikely because she would be out doing something different way earlier than in the canon story time. And then there would be essentially two major differences. Since Ainz is still a human, he won't just sit idly by and watch whenever the Great Tomb is treating humans suboptimally, to put it mildly. And this, for example, means that the Happy Farm would actually be a happy place, or even consist of sheep instead of humans. And precisely because Ainz also has the excuse of the curse and the human body that occasionally controls his actions, he also wouldn't just casually approve or really don't mind the Great Tomb's world-conquering plans, but actively prevent them, even if another misunderstanding would have happened, because of course the first misunderstanding would not happen because Ainz and Demiurge wouldn't likely watch the Earth, or rather the New World, while they're flying or hovering above it. I also think that Ainz would start the Project Utopia much earlier and try to ensure that the NPCs of Nezarec and the outsiders can live in harmony. This course of action is then something that the NPCs would probably attribute to Ainz's human body, but ultimately reluctantly participate in. Ainz would also generally be much more cautious and unstable. Another significant difference would be that, should he arrive as a level 1 human, he could also level up and essentially create his own character build in the new world. This would actually be relatively easy, because he could simply tap into the experience of Mare's world-class item. But without the Sheltie incident, it probably wouldn't be Mare's item, but Ainz would likely give it to Albedo or someone else, who would then use it to level up by taking out a mass of monsters. So basically Albedo's search and rescue squad, but different. Ainz would therefore also acquire a tremendous understanding of politics, economics, and society in general, rather quickly, since matters like being a ruler or a king are also classes in the new world that can be leveled up, so Ainz would rise relatively quickly to become a truly competent ruler. Furthermore, as a human, he would age and become mortal again, which would eventually lead to Ainz succumbing to old age. So, one of the first classes Ainz would acquire as soon as possible would also be the one that bestows Auriol Omega with her own immortality, despite her being the only human in the entirety of the Great Tomb of Nezarec. Another significant change is that emotions and feelings, not to mention desires, which Ainz Ooal Gown could only vaguely perceive in his undead body, would become quickly very hard and very concrete. Ainz would be then a young man surrounded by many beautiful women. And what would then follow would be enough material to fill quite a few doujinshi. The Pleiades, the regular maids, and anything else that looks like a woman in Nezarec would certainly enjoy her time with the now not undead Overlord. This would in turn let Demiurge's research into the possibility of reproducing across the boundaries of humanoid races with heteromorph and demi-human races to be greatly promoted, out of sheer necessity. Ainz would also be very interested in how to produce and awaken godkins. And as the Elf King had massive problems with this despite having sired hundreds of kids, he would seek help. And as a human, he and Auriol could travel to the theocracy of Slain without any issues, because as a human, Ainz would be welcomed. He would be seen as an ally instead of an enemy, especially if he brought a few truly high-level angels with him. Additionally, because he's a human, Ainz wouldn't have any problems making contact with other human players, who were initially believed to be hiding within the theocracy. Demiurge stated something like this while reviewing the map of the new world. Ainz might even be genuinely committed to the protection of humanity, and in turn, the theocracy might consider revealing, if they even know the fact, that the real cause of the teleportation disaster that brought Ainz and the other players into the new world had been likely a failed experiment by the Dragon Emperor. So, as you can see, the story would have turned into more of a heartwarming anime and a classic "I save the world with my powers" and do the right thing story than the dark fantasy tale that Overlord now is. And Ainz would undoubtedly be much more happier than he is now. And he also wouldn't be a virgin anymore. And with that said, now it's your turn. Do you think Ainz would be much happier in his human form? Do you think the NPCs would even accept him? Or do you think that the story would take a drastically different turn once Ainz Ooal Gown is a human? And while you write all of this down in the comment section, let me quickly thank you for watching and say my special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Ferashivan, Guy with That Hat, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Mervek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Okill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.